our team here at the Ministry of Sport and Community Development and Sport TT to address the outcome of Trinidad and Tobago's participation at the recent Olympic Games. While we didn't secure medals this time, I want to emphasize that our athletes have shown remarkable dedication and heart on the world stage. I want to express our deep gratitude on behalf of the government and the people of Trinidad and Tobago to each member of Team TTO. Your commitment to excellence and pride with which you represented our country are truly commendable. We look forward to welcoming the remaining members of our team home tomorrow with open arms and hearts filled with appreciation. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with our team from the ministry and more particularly Sport TT. I'm here with our new chairman of Sport TT, Mr. Larry Romani. We have Mr. Tobias. He runs the Elite Athlete Unit at Sport TT. We have, of course, Mr. Jason Williams, the CEO of Sport TT, and Justin Latapy, who manages the NGBs and their development. This year has been a trying year for us. Government and the people of Trinidad and Tobago likewise, as we look at what has taken place in the Paris Olympics 2024. I want to first and foremost really extend heartfelt thanks to our athletes and to those who went from TTOC to represent Trinidad and Tobago. When athletes go out to perform, to compete, they go out to give their very best. And I truly believe that our athletes have worked hard over the years, and everybody went out there and gave it their very best shot. We didn't come out of Paris 2024 with the results we would have liked. And of course, that calls for concern, for introspection from everyone, from all the stakeholders across the sporting fraternity in Trinidad and Tobago, and all citizens likewise. As we know, elite athletes are not made in an Olympic year. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes resources. Likewise, it takes just about everyone in the ecosystem to make success happen. The support of the government, the support of the sporting fraternity, the NGBs and so on, the support of the private sector, and just about everyone. As government, I wish to pledge our commitment to continue providing support, technical and financial, to the athletes, to the sporting fraternity, to our national governing bodies. Over the past years, from 2015 all the way to this date, we have contributed at least $400 million to national governing bodies, to sporting clubs, and to the athletes of Trinidad and Tobago, upcoming athletes and elite athletes alike. I think I can safely say that when you compare, or when you look at the rest of the region, Trinidad and Tobago contribute the most to the development of its athletes as it relates to support to national governing bodies, support to individual athletes. We look at the athletes participating over the years, and it is not only in an Olympic year. Today I saw on social media responses to Keyshawn Walcott collecting a check of $250,000 in support from the government on Monday. And many people were commenting saying, what did he win? Why are we giving this support? What did he win? And I'm saying that athletes don't have to win, or didn't have to win, to get support over the years. That funding for elite athlete development is for athletes who are at the top tier of their different sporting disciplines, or elite athletes are among the top 40 in their specific sporting disciplines. And once they apply to the Ministry of Sport and Community Development for elite athlete funding, that funding is guaranteed. So $250,000 this year, last year, the year before, as long as the athlete applies, they fall into the relevant categories. They get the funding according to categories. For instance, Keyshawn Walcott is in the top tier, so he gets $250,000. He's in that category. The next category would be persons like Michelle Liai, who received $187,000. So that's the next tier or the next level under Keyshawn Walcott. And this type of assistance is not only for elite athletes, but also for upcoming athletes to support them in their development. Over the years, we've been supporting athletes to the tune of their request, to the tune of from $250,000 all the way to those who apply for $15,000. Once athletes apply, they apply on time, they submit their documents, the government is sure to support. And that support comes from many different areas. The Ministry of Sport and Community Development, from Sport TT, directly into the hands of the athlete, also providing support to the national governing bodies and through the TTOC. For instance, in this year, for this specific Olympic, Paris Olympics 2024, TTOC got $1.5 million towards supporting going to the Olympics and their participation. Alongside that, the athletes themselves, from Michelle Liai to Jerry Richards, Keyshawn Walcott, those who would have applied, received funding. Out of the 17 athletes who went out to Paris this year, we have 8 of them applying for funding and receiving funding. They are athletes who have not applied at all this year or in years before, and they are athletes who applied and received funding that didn't make it to the Olympics. So our support doesn't come only in an Olympic year. In and out of Olympic season, in and out of high performance competition season, our athletes receive funding consistently. So I want to extend gratitude to the Ministry of Finance, to Sport TT, to the Physical Education and Sport Division of the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, because they have been going the distance in ensuring that our athletes get the necessary funding. As far as I'm concerned, our challenge as it relates to medaling and getting to where we need to be in sport doesn't rest solely with providing taxpayers' dollars to our athletes or with providing financial support. It speaks to the need to review our strategy. It speaks to the need to regroup. It speaks to the need for introspection. It speaks to the need for national governing bodies, for clubs, for the different players in the sport ecosystem to play their role. And as government, there are some things that we need to do differently as it relates to policy. So, for instance, we oversee 54 sporting disciplines. In no country, anywhere in the world, you have all sporting disciplines receiving equal level of funding. Particular attention or specific attention or focus is placed on the specific disciplines that we are going to focus on for the next Olympics or for a specific competition, and the others get the remaining amount of money. But I think we have, in many cases, tried to provide equal amount of funding to all sporting disciplines, especially at the level of Sport TT, where they oversee roughly 12 different sporting disciplines, ensuring everybody get just about the same amount of funding each year. Focus needs to be paid specifically on, let's say, athletics and the support given to the entry-As, to aquatics and the support given to ASAT, to cycling and the incredible work that TTCF has been doing in cycling, and even in judo, because we were very, very close. Although judo is not one of the sporting disciplines handled by Sport TT as an Olympic sport, we were very, very close to qualifying for judo. Of course, we don't go out there and just say, come, let's go to the Olympic. Every single athlete who made their way to the Olympics earned their spot. Every single athlete who made their way to the Olympics, each and every year, earn their spot. You have to qualify in order to be able to go. So I see comments and I hear the radio and I hear people saying, oh, you should have chosen somebody different. Why you carry he? Why you carried this other one? And it doesn't work like that. You have to compete. You have to make the time. You have to qualify in order to make your way to the Olympics. So, ladies and gentlemen, here goes my introduction. I want to also add that old people say the heights that great men reach and kept it were not attained by sudden flight. At the end of the day, it takes years and years and years of work and resources to get to where we believe we need to be. Many years ago, you heard former president of TTOC, Brian Lewis, who is in the room with us today, speaking about his goal, his dreams, his aspiration for 10 gold medals by 2024. And not everybody bought into that dream. Everybody in the ecosystem did not buy into that dream. And it calls for everybody putting their shoulders to the wheel and getting it done. We look to Jamaica, for instance, when we visited Jamaica last year and had the ability to meet with their different sporting groups and witness boys and girls champs. They said, we have been doing this for over 110 years. There we were, Trinidad and Tobago, with a less than robust sporting schools program, trying to figure out how we are going to get to where Jamaica is and even get beyond that. While we are having this conversation today, Jamaica is having the same conversation because they're saying it's the lowest medal count that they have gotten over the years. So there's need for introspection, there's need for partnership, there's need also for national governing bodies to come to the table and discuss coach accountability, long-term athlete development, and working hand in hand, and I would say most importantly, accountability. Because it's all well and good to question the government and what is the government going to do. But we must admit, recognize, acknowledge, and embrace that there is this much that the government can do, especially as it relates to working with and directing or assisting independently owned and ran sport national governing bodies. Yes? For instance, you may hear somebody say, I'm available, I can help. I cannot make the NTAs work with Ato Boldon. Yes? And I cannot make Ato Boldon work with the NTAs. So there are people who say, come on, bring him on board. But at the end of the day, every sport and discipline, every national governing body have the role, the right, and the responsibility to flesh out what their athlete development plan looks like, to reach out to the ministry for support, financial support, technical support. For instance, in financial support, yes, all NGBs are entitled. Technical support, we cannot take up and just give a trainer or give a coach to a sporting discipline, to an NGB. That's a decision that they have to make. Clubs have their role to play in electing who they select to lead their national governing bodies and what projects and programs they choose to be their priority projects and programs. And they're the sporting disciplines who may go as far to reach out for support beyond financial support, like, for instance, technical support. A couple of years ago, we at Sport TT were responsible for covering the cost for cycling to bring in Erin Hartwell, and in order to support the cycling fraternity. And we would have seen tremendous improvement from that partnership and the work done during those years. We also have, for instance, Sport TT is responsible for paying the fees or employing Keyshawn Walcott's coach. And that's something, that's a very specific arrangement. In the past, when hockey was getting ready for high-level competition, Sport TT stepped in and assisted. But we cannot just go out and find coaches and give them to different NGBs. That has to come out of the plans and the request of the specific NGBs themselves. I was just about to mention clubs that elect the same people and come up with the same strategy year after year, doing in 2024 the things that they tried in 2000, expecting to get different results. So today, it's not about blaming anyone. It's about coming to the fore and saying to taxpayers, who can testify that we have been distributing funds by the millions, by the hundreds of millions over the years, and accounting for how we spend taxpayers' dollars, and saying that we have to do things differently, and it doesn't rest solely in or on the government. We also need private sector to come forward. We also need national governing bodies to be accountable. Because as much as we question government, nobody is asking about coaching and coaching accountability, coaching development, the administration at the different sporting national governing bodies, whether or not you have sporting bodies assisting athletes in filling out their applications and getting funding, whether we have national governing bodies reaching out to private sector for support. You read some of the stories coming from other countries of their struggle to get to the Olympics and how they received no governmental support, whether it's the US rugby team or the teams who would have come forward and said they didn't get enough money. For instance, in Jamaica, athletes received the support of the government after they qualified for the Olympics to the tune of 15,000 TT dollars in the year, that 15,000 US dollars in the year of qualification, whilst in Trinidad and Tobago, in and out of Olympic season, in and out of high competition season, the government remains committed to providing that support to each and every, not only elite athlete, but athlete who applies for funding. So I think that gives you my opening statement, and I open the rest of my panel to, so the rest of the panel could respond to you, could address you as we look at this interesting, delicate, sensitive, relevant, very timely topic. We'll get the chance to talk about the turn or the decisions that we have taken as it relates to introducing I Choose Sport, so that Trinidad and Tobago can have a robust sport development program in schools and across communities, so that we can expand our reach and cast a wider net as it relates to talent identification. We'll get to talk about what Sport TT is doing in the elite athlete division, where they are working on developing coach development programs and programs for professionals, the support they provide to our elite and other athletes in nutrition and getting psychological help and so on, and strength and conditioning. The work that our new chairman and the direction our new chairman plans to take Sport TT, the support that Sport TT has been providing over the years through our management at Sport TT and through the National Governing Body Unit. They call it the SDPU unit. They work with the different NGBs, and they would speak to the challenges and speak to the issues that they face in working with the different national governing bodies towards lifting sport to where it needs to be. So yes, it's a conversation that needs to be had, and I am pleased to face you and to bring all technocrats before you as we talk about sport for tomorrow, as we look towards LA 2028, and that's short term, that's right around the corner. Before you blink your eye, we're going to be talking about 2020. We're going to be in 2028. We look on even to 2032, and we deal with the hard, difficult, sensitive topic of not offering the same level of assistance to everybody, because there is no way jump rope, all fours, which also is a sport, ballroom dancing, which also is a sport, that has not or doesn't go to the Olympics, should receive the same amount of funding as athletics. Yes? So it's a difficult conversation to have. Also, as we look at every pickup bunch that decide, okay, there's a tournament taking place in Italy or a tournament taking place in London in some corner, let's pick up some little children and carry them. And if we cry hard enough in front of the media, the government will give us the money, and then the pressure from the media comes. How are you going to have the children them out there? They need some support. What is the Ministry of Sport doing? How much of our funding and resources are we going to continue to direct in those areas? And these are real conversations that we have to have as a people, as a government, as Sport TT, as national governing bodies, and as the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the tax-paying people of Trinidad and Tobago, who make these contributions year after year, roughly $44 to $50 million going directly into the hands of national governing bodies and athletes each and every year. So once again, I want to thank you for joining us, and again, I extend heartfelt thank you to our athletes, the sporting fraternity, TTOC, everybody who have brought us to this place. Thank you.